a meal deal, and I get myself a sandwich. And they do the best sandwiches, by the way. A drink and
Yes,
a
they do.
crisp. And I was kind of a bit self-conscious that I want to make sure that I get a crisp that doesn't stink out my car of crisp. Like salt and vinegar's got a pungent smell. Cheese and onions
Yeah.
got a pungent smell. So I don't want really salted. That's fucking bland as fuck. So I went with the salt and pepper, and I'll tell you what, it's nice. It's seasoned potato, man. It can't go wrong.
Yeah,
It,
I'm
it
not.
tastes.
I don't like pepper on my crisps. I like pepper on my potatoes, but I don't like pepper on my crisps. I
It
don't
gives
know.
it. It
I
gives
don't
it a
know why.
kick. It gives it a nice
Yeah,
little kick. You know what I mean? A
yeah,
little spicy kick. So
yeah. It does. And but
uh,
so
yeah.
obviously you're talking salt and pepper. I actually hate chicken flavored crisps. Like the Walker's ones, all that. I can't stand it. But this one,
Yeah.
I don't know why. I bought it once accidentally because I went for the mac and cheese flavor, and the mac and cheese flavor was disgusting, and this chicken one was like fucking amazing, and that's why it sells out. Like every time they have it, it sells out. Um, that's yeah,
Okay. Mac and cheese flavored crisps.
yeah. They're horrible. They taste like vomit. It tastes like vomit.
Yeah.
Hello, Daniel Vance. Opened this up and laid down for a nap. You all just scared the living hell out of me. Cheers. Uh,
Yeah, that's what we do best,
That's what
mate.
we
That's
do
what we do.
best.
You know, so
And
yeah,
good afternoon, good evening, and good morning from. We'll get back to the food in a minute. Don't worry. From
mhm.
wherever you are, welcome to Friday's Open Forum, where you in the chat, as well as me and Cheeto, can and will talk about whatever the hell we want because that's what Friday's all about. And as you joined us, we are, of course, talking about the most important thing in the world crisps, or for our American audience, chips. And Zam, I'm sorry I interrupted you. Let's carry on.
No, I was going to change the subject.
Oh,
I
okay.
uh, I
Go for
I
it.
just I just finished watching Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Oh, shit. I didn't know that.
I saw it earlier today,
Thoughts?
and
Or you want to give
it's
your
better.
thoughts in the review?
No, I'll give some thoughts now.
No
And
spoilers,
I
though,
want
for other
no
people.
spoilers
For me, I don't
whatsoever.
care. Yeah.
No spoilers whatsoever. And it's definitely better than the second one.
Well,
And
that's not a high bar.
it also it continues pretty much where the Christmas special left off. Um,
Oh,
to a
Lord.
degree,
So
So
you
like
would have
we
loved
acknowledge.
this then.
Well, I liked it, but yeah, they, like, and all the characters have like a decent bit of screen time, except for one, which I don't want to, which you'll figure out quite easily. But yeah, they all share the screen time, and it's I mean, it's funny anyway. How do I talk about it without not spoiling it? I find things, anything I bring up in some consideration, even if it's not about the
That's
show,
fine. So just say whether you
it's
liked
a
it or not, and
spoiler.
leave it at that.
I liked it. I liked it enough.
Okay.
I mean,
Was there too many
I
jokes in it?
no, this was much darker.
Oh,
Um,
that's good.
this was much darker.
Because every
Obviously,
clip, sorry to interrupt you, but every
yeah.
fucking clip I've seen, it's just all jokes, and it
No,
makes
no,
me want to gouge
it's
my
not that.
ears out. That's why I
Like
don't
Drax,
want to watch this.
Drax, Drax is a walking joke in his own right. Because of who he is. He's the sort of person who, the old adage of he regarding Drax that he doesn't pick up on metaphors. He takes things as they are.
Yeah.
And so but but it's quite dark. And
Is the
which is
action good?
it's all right.
Okay.
It's all right. But honestly, I take it more. Honestly, like for me,
So would you say, hang on here, the
I would
easiest
say
way?
the story was way more important to me than the action.
That's what I was going to say. Is the story good?
It's okay. It's
It's
not
okay.
bad. It's not
That's
bad,
fine.
but it's just good to see like everyone get a decent amount of screen time. It's quite well shared, barring one particular character, which you'll figure out eventually that is quite
Yeah,
early
but
on. But
that
even
does say
then,
that because that could be a
yeah.
spoiler.
Well, I've already brought that up, so I'm just sticking with
Yeah.
that particular adage. But it's not that big a deal, whether
Okay.
but nevertheless, it's okay. Like Will Poulter is good, but not in the way I would want him to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all right.
Okay.
Like if it's one of the better recent Marvel movies in my opinion,
Oh,
considering all the shit. I know they gotta considering all the shit we've been getting out of Marvel recently. Especially when it comes to the more recognized franchises, this is a lot better.
yeah.
We've been getting a lot of new franchises from Marvel recently, and it's
Oh
good to get
shit.
yeah, and Guardians, in a way, it hasn't been like Guardians 2. I still don't like it, but I thought Guardians in Infinity War and a glimpse of them, well, Rocket mainly in Endgame was made up for how shit Guardians 2 was, and I personally like the Christmas special, but this is okay. This is a lot better as well.
Okay.
Um, and it's not all about Peter Quill, which is what
Oh,
makes it
okay.
much
Okay.
more.
You're
You
going
know
on
what I
a
mean?
bit too much. Then save it.
Yeah.
Save it for your main review. And
Okay.
okay. Hello, Gary. Welcome to the chat.
Hello.
We've just glanced over Guardians 3. I don't want to talk about it anymore because
I've seen it, but I'll say what I think.
just say thumbs up or thumbs down. Okay, great. So you guys can do your review tomorrow or whenever, and you guys can talk about it there. I have no interest in watching it. So, seeing as we started with Guardians 3, let's buck the trend and carry on with talking about film and TV stuff. And film and TV does, of course, cover wrestling, so we will talk a little bit about wrestling. Doom 2 trailer
Doom
dropped.
2.
Well, Doom
It
Part
has.
2. Doom Part 2
It
dropped.
has.
Yeah, have you not seen the trailer for Doom Part 2?
No. Oh,
No, no.
mate. I'm not
We
sure. Am I getting trolled here?
we did the reaction to it, Sam. What are you talking about?
You did a reaction to it. Yeah, you're right. You did do a reaction to it.
Oh, Dune. I thought you said Doom. Like
No,
fucking
it's
Dune.
Dwayne
Dune.
Johnson.
Dune.
Dune.
Yeah,
June
Dune.
and
Yes.
June. Sorry.
Yeah,
June.
yeah.
Call
Sorry,
it
yeah,
June.
June.
It's fucking Americans, the way they say it. Dune. It's June.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, of
June,
course.
June,
Sorry.
June Part 2 trailer dropped, and it's lots of sand, visually beautiful, as all Denis Villeneuve films, but whatever, man. The Part 1 was boring.
You didn't like Part 1?
No, I didn't like it. I don't like Denis
Oh, mate.
Villeneuve films. He bores the shit out of me. I don't know why. I just find his stuff boring.
Have you ever read
Visually
the books,
beautiful.
have you ever read the books, Paddy?
I've read the books. I've seen the films. I bought the tickets. No, the t-shirts. I think that's the saying goes. Yeah, I ain't read the books since the 90s, and I didn't like the fucking books. I just don't like I just don't like it at all in any form. And the only reason I read the book was because I saw the original film. Yeah. So, but if you guys want to quickly talk about, I know you guys are more interested in it. So, take it away.
Yeah, well, look, I enjoyed episode 1 or part 1 of Dune. I don't look at this as a sequel as such. It's just a continuation of the story. Because you could already see elements from the David Lynch movie in the second half of the movie. The second half.
Have you frozen? You frozen?
Me?
Yeah.
Who, me? I can see my arms moving.
Yeah, you're fine now.
Okay. So yeah, like the David Lynch movie basically was a compact version of these two parts. So you can see elements from part 2 in that David Lynch movie too.
Well, it should be if it's taking it from the fucking book.
Yeah. But like they compressed it into like a 2-hour film, didn't they? Whilst these two parts are basically a lot more spread out. Once again, a superb packed, all-star cast. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing how they all perform. I don't think we'll be getting equal screen time with everyone. Nevertheless, I'm very much looking forward to this. I thought the first one was great, and I'm hoping the second one follows suit.
All right, Gary.
For sure.
I as I said, the stuff that I like in this new one, like I like some of the design choices, but I personally prefer some aspects of the Lynch version. Like I can actually quote some parts of the Lynch version. This one just looks like it's Timothée Chalamet just being Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks gorgeous. Don't get me wrong; it looks gorgeous. It's just like I'm sorry, I want to see action, and I don't think this is going to be very action packed.
No, not that's my issue with Dennis Villeneuve. You give him fucking films like Sicario, and there was literally, I counted it, less than 5 minutes of action in that film in Sicario, or maybe just a little bit over 5 minutes of action in a 2.5 hour film, nearly. Okay, Blade Runner, fucking boring. But then again, I don't like the original, so that's going off of nothing.
Yeah.
And he's just boring. He's just a boring director. I hate to say it because his visuals, he's a bit like, there are certain directors that would be better off as directors of photography, non-actual directors. And Villeneuve is one of those. Because as a director, he bores the living pants off of me.
Excuse me, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I haven't seen Blade Runner 2 because
You're not missing anything.
because for the love of
I
life,
liked it.
for the love of,
Well, nobody cares what you
just
think.
I just
Cheers, buddy.
That's all right.
I just don't understand the love for the first movie. I know visually, Blade Runner was groundbreaking. A lot of the cyberpunk era started with Blade Runner. I totally get it, but I just think the story itself, the film drags like a motherfucker, and in a way, it could have been so much more cooler if it was a bit more generic as an action film. It would have been so much more better in that sense with that setting. You know what I mean, with their futuristic guns and stuff like
is
that, and
okay.
yeah.
I'm obviously the minority in this chat because it's my favorite film, so I'm obviously the minority.
Yeah, but again, you see, Ridley Scott falls into that same category with me. I don't like his films. I like some of his films, but
Alien.
it's the ones that you don't expect. So apart from the first Alien, Matchstick Men, I absolutely love of his, and I think Black Rain is another one of his.
Black Rain is Tony.
Tony
Tony
Scott.
Scott.
Sorry, yeah. Well, Tony Scott I
Yeah.
love anyway. Tony Scott was the better of the two brothers, I found, because his
Tony's-
pacing.
I love Black
his
Rain.
pacing was so much better than Ridley's. But yeah, it's not many films of his I like. Like, I know everyone was like raving about Gladiator 2, but I was so fucking bored watching it.
You think Gladiator?
I hated it.
Okay, I can tell you why I like Blade Runner so much. It's because it's kind of like a old, like 1930s gumshoe mystery set in the old, like in the future, and I like that. Like that, this guy's basically playing like Sam Spade or Philip Marlowe or something like that. He's playing basically that sort of guy. That's basically why I like it, because I like old Hollywood sort of things, and the kind of like twists and old tropes. But that's my personal taste.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'll just go to a couple of comments here. So, Prisoners wasn't bad from Villeneuve, but that's the exception. Oh yeah, Justice League Warworld got an R rating. Oh, lovely.
Nice.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Good. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I do love the old Warner Brothers animated stuff. They rarely go wrong. They dipped a little bit after they did Flashpoint, so there was like a whole heap of rubbish stuff, but they've picked up in the last couple. And with Batman, they're always consistent, with the exceptions to like maybe two, which would be Hush and something else. I can't remember. But yeah, you can get rid of that comment, Zam.
Yeah, sorry. You know, I've always thought the Court of Owls was a bit overrated, personally.
Fair enough. No, fair enough. If you didn't like it, I liked it, but that's fair enough.
I think people. I think people are. It can be good, but it's just.
It's all right. If you didn't like it, you didn't like it. It's
no. I'm not saying I don't like it. I just don't think it's. Sometimes people like stuff that I think is okay, you know, but people love it. Like, you know, and I think to myself, it's all right. Like, I've never understood people's like, you know, it's a bit like, but it's how people look at Boba Fett, for instance.
Well,
see where I'm
yeah,
coming
yeah,
from?
yeah. Okay, yeah,
That's the only comparison I can give it. Like
yeah.
loads of people are massive Boba Fett fans. The guy was fucking hardly in Star Wars. You
Yeah.
know, and that's the
Yeah.
same thing I think with regarding the Court of Owls. It's like really like we've only had little tidbits here and there, and what we have got I don't think was that spectacular. Yet people
No, have you ever read the comic book?
wank off.
No, he hasn't read the comic books,
No,
but we're just
no.
talking animated stuff. Don't worry about the comic book. We don't have to draw comparisons to the comic books every time.
No. I'm just saying the
Yeah.
comic run to the Court of Owls is great.
Oh,
Well,
hello, Ilgaziz KZ. We are currently talking about films and TVs, and we are on Warner Brothers animated stuff.
But I will agree with you both. I think adaptations of the Court of Owls has been lacking. Like the gay version was shit. Have you seen what they've done to the Court of Owls in flaming that Gotham TV show? That means
Is that the one where they look like Jacob Rees-Mogg?
Yes, that's exactly. That ridiculous.
They look like Jacob Rees-Mogg in that with that fucking mask on.
Do you know what they look like? Do you know when Jill Pink Floyd the flaming?
Oh yes, yes.
That's what it look like.
For me, not every adaptation from comic to screen works that well. Like for me, like for me, like Batman, the Killing Joke. Like
I didn't like that.
I didn't like that.
I like everyone waxed lyrical about that comic, and then finally it's on screen and it just doesn't work because for who Batman is, him actually having a laugh with Joker at the end is so fucking stupid. He just paralyzed Barbara Gordon, and you're gonna have a laugh and a fucking joke with him.
Yeah, ridiculous.
You know?
And, you know,
he's never killed him.
I like Alan Moore. I like Alan Moore stuff, but even like I wasn't even a fan of the comic book. It kind of tapered off. I liked it when it started, but then it tapered off a bit towards the end. But the adaptation was just boring.
And you know what? I don't know when this began regarding Batman not being a killer, because I don't like the idea of this guy who all these criminals are scared of, who doesn't kill any.
It came in when, so a little bit of history here for you. So there's a thing called the Comics Code Authority, and that came in at a time when the comic book companies that were doing more like violent, more adult stuff were killing the competition. They were like, DC's history as a comic book company is shitty. So just think of the shitty things that corporations do. That's what DC Comics did back in the day. So what they will do, they'd either buy out the competition, or they'll just try and make policy changes to cut the competition. And the Comics Code Authority was, I believe, a coalition between DC and Atlas, which was then changed to Marvel, to basically cut the competition, because their stuff was a lot kiddie friendly and soft, but all the other stuff that was very adult, very violent, and all that's the shit that kids loved. And then, of course, you know, they got politicians to chime in saying, "Oh, it's harming children." You know, that old trope. They use kids to push their policies, and that's why you had people like Batman not killing and Captain America not killing. They used to fucking kill before that.
Yeah.
But what do we think of Shazam? Absolute big pile of dog shit.
I think he means the character, not the actual film. I don't think.
No, I think he means I think this person means the film.
Yeah. If we're talking film, shit. If we're talking comic book, cool.
I liked the films more than most, but the second one looked rubbish.
Yeah, but just because your taste is abysmal, we know.
No, it's not. It was big cross from the comic book film. What is it to love?
There was nothing to like about it. It was generic as shit.
When I watched the original Shazam maybe a year or so after it came out, so I saw it quite late, and Zachary Levi annoys the shit out of me as that particular character, and I just never really appreciated it too much. And then he gives all his friends an element of his powers. So one of them's got super fast. One of them can can fly. One of them's got super strength, and all of that sort of shit is bollocks. It just I thought a lot of it was just bollocks, and I haven't I haven't seen the second one yet. I haven't rushed out to see the second one yet. I don't give a fuck about the second one. I will watch it eventually.
Actually, I'm going to defend. I think Batman's a good character because he doesn't kill. Because the thing is
Shazam.
No, he's going back. He's switched back to a different.
It's because I'm reading Dave Vance's comment. Sorry, but Shazam the character is good. Shazam the film, the first one is fine. The second one looks terrible, so I haven't seen it.
Yeah, fair enough. Vance here. The old monster comics were brutal. Yeah, they were. They were awesome. Speaking of, in fact, those comic books and classic kind of Marvel covers. When I redecorate my room, one of my walls is just going to be cutouts from comic books covers, and just going to plaster it all over one of my walls.
Sorry.
No, go on, Karen.
I was going to say, if you want an imprint of like a more darker book, what about stuff like Vertigo or Dark Horse or something like that? It's got like
Alfred Hitchcock.
I don't like.
No, Vertigo's like DC.
DC dark.
So, like for example, like Preacher's Vertigo, Hellblazer's Vertigo.
No, I prefer the old like comic book covers, like the art of like Ditko and all these kind of things. If you see up there, you see my X-Men. So it'll be like those old like classic kind of covers, but small and wallpaper.
We're talking about comic books, YouTube.
At the moment, but we're going to be talking about everything. I just want to get back to what I was saying though regarding Batman, because I did say that he is somebody that all the criminals are scared of, but he hasn't. But depending on what adaptation you're watching, the adaptation he doesn't kill anyone means that how the fuck is all these criminals so scared of this guy who has
because he fucks with their business.
But he doesn't know. But they're scared of him like he's some sort of boogeyman. I'll be scared of a boogeyman that would fucking kill me. You know what I mean? That you hear about all these other criminals being killed. You know what I mean?
But we're dealing. Look, again, we are dealing with an annoying. It's a bit like the Sacred Cow situation, because of the Comics Code Authority and all these years of Batman doesn't kill. We're still stuck in this kind of thing. However, I mean, it does make sense that he doesn't kill because he's not a fucking cop. Like, if Batman just wanted to go and murder criminals, he should just become a cop because nothing will happen to him. American cop. But I was going to say I disagree. I don't think Batman should kill because the thing is, I'm against character death in comic books anyway because to me it's lazy writing. Because the thing is that you should have more stories to tell about a character, even if it's like the most. No. Hang on. Let's get this right here because it depends on the characters. So, look, if you have characters that are beloved, there's no fucking point killing them because you're just going to bring them back because nobody really dies in comic books. So, in that regard, it's lazy writing because of what's about to occur. So, every time Jean Grey has died, I'm like, what's the fucking point of her dying? We're just, full circle. Jean Grey should have stayed fucking dead in the 80s and it should have stuck. And the only other time you see her alive is in different universes. So with like, the Ultimates and all this kind of stuff, you get your Jean Grey back and all that. But in the main 616, she should have stayed dead. And I feel that if you're going to kill a character off, just kill them off. If they're massively popular, don't go down that road. Because like you say, Gary, it's fucking lazy writing because we know they're just coming back. Or it's not that it's lazy writing, it's meaningless because they're coming back.
Yeah, this is the problem is that what you guys are saying is that like if let's say for example like Batman started killing, then like there's loads of like villain characters that he has that have interesting psychological stories to tell. Like for example,
I'm not saying I'm just
like Joker, Scarecrow, the Riddler. All these guys have like interesting stories.
I'm just talking about like maybe when he's fighting henchmen who want to kill him there and then, like we saw it in in the early Batman movies, the Tim Burton ones. Michael
I hate
Keaton
that.
killed so many fucking people. Even Joel Schumacher's Batman Forever. Well, Val Kilmer did kill one person, and that was Two-Face. But other than that, they started swaying back to the original format of Batman not killing everyone, but he does kill, and it didn't bother me. It never bothered me when we saw Ben Affleck getting the machine guns out and
Oh
mowing
my
the shit
god,
out of.
people were fucking up in arms about that. I was like,
Yeah,
who cares? He's
yeah,
old. He's changed
exactly.
his tune.
No,
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
as I said, I personally
And
don't care. I don't personally care for it, but that's a personal taste thing.
Yeah.
no, but regarding the main villains themselves not being killed, I like the fact that maybe first of all he does have them in positions where he doesn't necessarily need to kill them and he can arrest them. He can also at the same time have lose, and the villain gets away with it. That should happen now and again. I'm totally fine with that too. I do like it. I'm a big fan of the bad guy winning. I very much appreciate that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Look, I mean look, if we deconstruct Batman in a real world setting, you could easily just because Batman to me, the concept of Batman, I hate it because it's just white billionaire privilege beating on the downtrodden. But it's a lot of fun when they always execute it in like you still enjoy reading the comic books, you still enjoy watching like the shows and the films and all this just because it's just ridiculous because in the real world he could just become a cop, just become a fucking cop or hire a private security team or mercenary team and just go out and fucking do all the murdering
But
for him.
I think the whole
Crushing
point
all the
about
criminals.
I think the whole point about Batman though is that the reason that he creates a bat in the first place, and I think this is why the Batman Begins is one of my favorite films of the Batman series, is because people can get bought off, can get frightened, can get bullied, can get terrorized into not doing it anymore. Whereas Batman, he doesn't have a family. He doesn't have anything. He can't be bought off. He can't be terrorized. He's literally the figure they're afraid of, and that's what I love about it.
Yeah, it's just a billionaire bully boy. Yeah, we get it.
No, I disagree with that. I think what he is a scared orphan. That is that.
Well, he's got a lot of psychological problems. That's for fucking sure. Because if you dress up in a gimp suit and you beat up the downtrodden rather than using your billionaires for again, if you want to deconstruct Batman, the reality is Bruce Wayne, sick and tired of the crime, runs for office, puts in policies that actually help the poor to help eradicate crime. Okay, he utilizes the police force, weeds out corruption, crushes police unions, puts in better representatives to eliminate corruption. And hey, presto, look at that. Progressive policies in Gotham. And suddenly the crime rate plunges to almost zero. There's always going to be crime. But no, we have Gimp Suit beating up the downtrodden. That's the reality of Batman.
You know what I find funny is that billionaires in general are less than 1% of the population of the planet. Yet in superheroes, they're about maybe 15-20% of the superheroes are fucking billionaires. I mean, I can name 4 off the top of my head. You got Bruce Wayne, you got Danny Rand, you've got fucking Oliver Queen, you've got Tony Stark. They're all fucking billionaires.
Aquaman.
Yeah.
He's a fucking king, so he doesn't really give a shit about money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, T'Challa. The richest man in the world, maybe. It's crazy how many billionaires are superheroes when the reality is billionaires are cunts.
Yeah.
And there's so many of them. There's so many of them in comic book lore when it's quite incredible that these people would be superheroes in the first place, but they're too self-centered.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they wouldn't care. Okay, let's move on. So, but we're staying kind of on topic because Babylon 5 has been announced as an animated series.
Really?
Yeah. They're still working on the live action TV series. They're rebooting it, which is stupid. And
I disagree.
Shut up. Straczynski's logic behind that is that, well, I have to reboot it because all the original characters are dead. Okay, well, go 100 years into the future where they'd be naturally dead from old age, and then you won't have to worry about callbacks to the old people. But rebooting it is just daft. You're not going to get the same as the original. So what's the point of rebooting it? How many reboots end up being better than the original? Gary?
Battlestar Galactica.
No, I prefer the original.
No, the original was way
the-
better. Not that I
yeah.
don't like the remake, but I preferred the original by a mile. You know,
It felt like Star Wars.
Actually, I'd say that the V remake that they did was actually really nice. It was really good.
No, that fell off. Nobody fucking remembers that compared to the original.
I do.
Oh my god! And you like that? It was
Yeah.
so generic.
I liked aspects of it.
Okay.
The original Battlestar Galactica was the greatest Star Wars rip-off of all time.
Yeah,
So many
absolutely.
people, everybody tried to copy Star Wars after Star Wars came out, but nothing came close. The Battlestar.
But let's look at Star Trek. Did we get when they brought it back as a series? Did we get a reboot? No, we got Next Generation, and it just carried on. They could just done that with Babylon 5. They
eventually rebooted with the Kelvin timeline.
Yeah. That's the film
flopped.
universe. Yeah, that flopped.
But that flopped.
But here's where I'm going to disagree slightly with both of you. I'm going to give my reasoning why, because the reason that things went the way they were in the series is because the main actor had a mental health breakdown, like a really
yes,
serious.
I know that the original Captain Sinclair, who I'll go on record and say I was not a fan of him at all, and it's sad that he was replaced because of the reasons why he was replaced. But Bruce Boxleitner was a billion times.
I agree, but I'm not saying the original story that Straczynski had wasn't told because of that reason. That the story he had isn't the one that was told on screen, and maybe that's the reason he wants to reboot, because he wants maybe to try and find an actor that won't have the same issues that Michael O'Hare had.
But that's just one character.
No, but there's entire storylines that he had to change because of that change. I'm not saying that that's right, wrong, or different. I'm just saying what that is.
No, that's just such a stupid reason to reboot. You can't reboot it because it's just the characters were so beloved.
No, I agree.
And it's the most perfect sci-fi show ever made for me personally.
Agree.
And so I'd rather just have a continuation. Just go 100, 150 years in the future where everyone's dead because all the actors are fucking dead. It's the one show where everyone's bloody dead. And so just go 150 years in the future. Call it fucking Babylon 6.
So the actors are still alive, like Bruce Butler's still alive.
Yeah, there's like five of them that are, 3 or 4 of them that are still alive. But like, you know, I know, God, what was her name? The Mambari woman.
Yeah, she died of cancer not too long
So
ago.
she died, you know, oh God. What was the other guy's name? Was it Michael something who died?
Michael O'Hare.
Yeah.
Michael O'Hare passed away.
Yeah, he died. Oh, so many of them fucking died. So just go 100 years into the future.
So kind of you want like them to. So you want like Straczynski to tell like a brand new story, but in the universe, but like kind of like as you say with Generation, just like
just Star Trek: The Next Generation. It just go 100 years or so into the future, and just completely just a continuation. Just you bring it back because whatever reason you bring it back, you bring back the Babylon station, and just carry on. Yeah, Bruce Boxleitner does commentary with Straczynski. Bruce apparently got really into it. He's been very vocal over the years about wanting more from the franchise. Well, that's great, but if you reboot it, what do you bring him in as? You know,
maybe a descendant of Sheridan of Sinclair or something.
That's not if you reboot it, mate. If you reboot it, what do you bring Boxleitner in as? But if you go into the future, yeah, you could just say he's a descendant. It's like, oh my God, you look just like him. Oh, shocking that. But you can also have you know, certain cloning and all that. Move the comment, man. You keep the comment up too long.
I'm sorry. I'm doing other things like trying to put my slippers on.
Yes. I mean, but I mean, me personally, I'm all for if it's the creator's decision to do it, because maybe the story that they told originally wasn't the story they wanted to tell. So I'm all before that.
Oh, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Only time will tell. We might not even get the live action. They keep saying they want to do it and they're working on it, but that could mean anything. The animated series, look, I can't scoff at that because it's Warner Brothers animation, so I'm sure it'll be good. Now, Gran Turismo.
Oh
It's got a
God!
Yeah, I
film
saw the
coming
trailer.
out.
I
I saw the trailer.
genuinely thought when you put this trailer up, it was a parody. I genuinely did. Sorry, go ahead.
That no, that's fine. Yeah, I couldn't believe it, and it's based on a true story. And so after I spoke to you, I had to Google it, and it is fucking based on a true story. Whether they fabricate a few things and all of that, but it's based on a true story.
Is it based or inspired by a true story?
No, it's based on a true story. Here,
Okay.
look, let me see. Have I got the article?
Yeah, I googled it after you said it.
Yeah,
Yeah, read
because
it
me and
out.
Gary were in disbelief, so I was just like, all right, let's see. Have I got it?
Just with the games that Sony owns, just like Gran Turismo, just seems like the oddest one in history. Like it has like
I don't have the article, but if you Google it, you'll see it's based on. If I go to my Facebook page, I'll get you the name of the or Vance if you want to Google it.
Yeah, he's a sort of like some sort of form of football.
Yeah, like at first I thought, oh, it might be loosely based on like Lewis Hamilton, but with a twist. But no, it is based on a guy called Jean Mardenborough. And yeah, let me see if I can find it right. Read it. Gran Turismo, the true story behind the movie. Right. PlayStation's Gran Turismo movie makes a big cinematic video game adaptation to hit the scene, but it's taken shape a bit differently than some fans would have expected. Rather than bringing the fictional world of the game to life, the movie follows young Mardenborough, Archie, well, that's the actor's name, as he goes from playing Gran Turismo to becoming a fully fledged race car driver. That might be an unexpected plot synopsis for those familiar with the Gran Turismo franchise, but actually, because the movie is based on a true story, Jan is a real person, and he really did use his gaming experience to make the jump from being a Gran Turismo fan to forging a career in real life car racing. That's fucking mental.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think he's like still racing now. Like
oh yeah, he's still racing. He even appears in the film. You see him in the trailer.
You know, I saw, and this is to talk about the film, but Lewis Hamilton, I saw him do a commercial for Tag, the watches.
Yeah,
and you see his arm, and his forearm is fucking huge. The guy looks like Popeye.
Yeah, because of the G-forces.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
The G-forces.
yeah,
Then
exactly. So like, and I very much appreciate the fact that they showed you that how how physically fit you have to be a racing car driver, and how
it's no
fit and strong. And they've got these massive arms. So they can hold on to the steering wheel forever.
For example, like we think it's easy, but like for a racing car driver, I think every race they do, I think someone said like they lose like a stone or to a stone and a half of fluids and sweat and God knows what else, and food just from just being in that cockpit because of the G forces and the fact that like they're without those things for like that long, it really has a physical impact.
Oh yeah, mate. Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
But
the kind of training.
I just want to say this is the weirdest game property that they've adapted so far. Because like when I think of Sony, I don't think, oh yeah, they're going to do Siphonville. I think like you could do Horizon Zero Dawn or like God of War or something like that.
I know they have all these amazing franchises and they go Gran Turismo. Yeah.
Well, look, this is like Days of Thunder meets fucking Ready Player One, isn't it?
Pretty much.
It pretty much feels like that, and
yeah, pretty much.
And I'm not really I don't give a fuck about this film too. True.
I'm kind of intrigued.
I'd rather see a documentary or a real life documentary of how this kid
I think
on
there
how
is
this
one
kid
out there.
became,
Yeah, I think
how
there
this
is
kid
one out
became a
there.
racing car driver.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
far more interesting than this shit.
so talking about shows that you don't give a fuck about, we're actually moving from shows you don't give a fuck about. We're going to move to shows that you really give a fuck about, because Yellowstone. So
Oh, lovely.
the current series is going to come to an end. However, they've greenlit a sequel, and they're hoping to get all
A sequel or a
right.
spin-off or a prequel?
No, sequel.
So
Just,
yeah,
just a
McConaughey.
continuation. So they want to get Matthew McConaughey to lead the show. Let me get
That's a
the
good choice.
yeah.
I mean, the guy's. I mean, he's a Texan, which not necessarily means that he's the right person for this job, but he is a cowboy, which definitely does
And
make him
also,
the
he's a
right
great
person
actor.
for this job.
He's a better actor than people give him credit for.
No,
I still
everyone
love
gives
him.
credit.
Rain of Fire is my favorite role of his. But
Oh, Reign of Fire. That film was underrated.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's so
but,
good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, he could do a biopic of Stone Cold Steve Austin the way he looked in that movie.
That's
But
the
nevertheless,
bottom line.
but nevertheless, like I need to check my Paramount Plus because season 5 hasn't ended, but it's on episode 9, and there's been a massive fucking gap after episode 9 because the season hasn't ended. I do know what you're going to talk about, that Kevin Costner has been thrown out, which is interesting. So they might as well just kill him off on the next episode or something along those lines.
It's not been thrown out. It's just like him and whoever's created it have had clashes apparently.
Well, I'm surprised it's lasted that long.
I'm not surprised yet. I mean, given Kevin Costner's
5 seasons,
history,
still on episode 8. Sorry, not 9. Episode 8.
I don't think Kevin Costner has really been touted as a difficult actor.
No, he has. It's been very difficult to work with on a lot of projects. There are some projects where he'll just kind of go in and do whatever, but with things so anything cowboy related, he's a huge pain in the ass to work with, because that's his shtick. That's what he loves, and so he just kind of takes over if stories are to be believed. But I like Kevin Costner. I don't really give a shit. Not every actor has to be fucking. This is what annoys me. Like, everyone thinks every actor has to be holier than thou and easy to work with. Some people are arseholes to work with, and it pays off. Like, you could argue Tom Cruise is a pain in the ass to work with, and most of the time his stuff pays off. Kevin Costner, 50-50. But
Tom Cruise is like the last of the Hollywood megastars, isn't he? So like,
yeah.
And plus he does his own stunts, so I've got to give him a lot of credit for that. They've greenlit a sequel, but with the writer's strike, it's going to be a bit. MCU's lucky they already had some scripts in the can.
Speaking of which, Disney is still making writers. So regardless of the strike, Disney's still making writers do other jobs in production, and other people that are tied to the WGA are being forced to work by Disney, and they said, we don't give a shit if you get fined, you're still fucking working. So yay, Disney, and we keep giving them our fucking money.
Yeah.
So, can I just say that that like people have been shitting on flaming the writers and stuff like that? I'm like thinking, well, if you don't pay writers well, then that's what you're gonna get. It's just like there's a saying: if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys.
Exactly. We'll get to when we go into politics. We'll talk about the writer's strike because that's on there. So we'll just carry on with some film and TV stuff. Speaking of comic books, Mr. Gary Jim Lee has been promoted to president of DC Comics.
Yay!
Yeah, that was my reaction. Yay!
No, because the guy's a really, 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 really talented artist.
Oh my! Not just a talented artist, but he does a good story, things like that, as well. But yeah, phenomenal artist, one of the best, like legendary.
Yeah,
and so I'm really chuffed. I hope he can bring something to DC Comics, because DC, since they did Rebirth, I just haven't liked it. I prefer the New 52 era.
It's like blazed a little bit.
Yeah, it has. It's just kind of in this weird bubble of shite. I'm not enjoying it. I haven't read anything for a while either. But anyway, that's just a quick tidbit on Mr. Lee. And the only other thing I have on film and TV, so AEW, just quickly talk about the pre-sale tickets have hit over 50,000. And I think the tickets, do they go on sale today? Was it? I think it's today that the tickets
Yes,
go
it
on
is
sale.
Yeah, tomorrow.
So it's not all the tickets. It's just like certain tiers. So because I think Wembley Stadium, from what I remember of the new one, it's kind of like 3-tiered. If I remember rightly, I think it's just like a certain tiers of it, and then they're going to start doing more tiers as it opens up. But you know what? Good on AEW for doing that, because if they can sell it, not sell it out, but if they can do a good number in Wembley, that'll do mega for their.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, look, the highest audience they've had in America is only 21,000. That's been their highest audience. So the fact that they hit the European market, and if you're over 50,000 on your pre-sale tickets, they're gonna fucking. I wouldn't be surprised if they sell out. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Europe is a massive market, and Vince McMahon has always underestimated what a massive market Europe is. And AEW just shows you, like, they don't have the best product, but there's enough wrestlers there to keep people interested. And Tony Khan, as soon as he announced like the UK stuff, you saw all the news about CM Punk, so he was pushing hard to get CM Punk back so he takes part in the UK show. So good on them. It's good for wrestling.
The funny thing is that if you're a ticket scalper, would you like buy tickets in wholesale on this particular product because it could backfire on you, because it's not like it's a WWE event where you could easily do that and sell it for 3 times the amount. AEW people don't know, like, if they did the research and found out that you can only get they only do 21,000 in America, then doing a 50,000 Wembley Stadium, even though it's in our part of the world and all of that, and be more attractive to Europeans just generally, would still not necessarily be a good thing to scalp upon. And I'm glad that's the case, to tell you the truth, because then hopefully people will be able to buy the tickets for the correct prices, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Vance has given some money. Thank you, Vance. To use on crisps.
You diamond.
Must be used. Oh mate, I got 4 bags of fucking salt and pepper.
Mate,
4 fucking bags.
I'm totally pimping the chili chicken wings out, because these are from Lidl's, Gary. Go get them. They're amazing. Oh no, don't get them because you're working out. Don't worry about it, mate.
Never just post it on there.
They're
nice and blue, electric blue,
lovely.
baby.
Always appreciated, Vance.
Yes, so
thank you very much. Must be used on
crisps. But as I said, I am glad that it is good. If it does sell, it'll be good for independent wrestling as well.
Because, absolutely.
Because like for example, Progress or RevPro, if they're running like shows during that time, they'll do mega numbers.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like when WrestleMania has its week, you have all the other shows kind of running.
ROH used to do it all the time.
Yeah. So you definitely run shows around that weekend, that event. So let's say because the pay-per-view's on Saturday, so Sunday. So if you run shows on a Saturday, you're good to go, kind of thing. You can probably get a lot of eyes on the product, or just do some conventions nearby, and get some eyes on your product. So yeah, it's good for wrestling. That's what I mean. That's why they need to do it. We've got Money in the Bank is coming in, and Money in the Bank, they're probably sitting there going, fuck, we could have probably done a bigger stadium, because like AEW have proven you can.
What stadium is Money in the Bank at?
At the O2, I think.
That's not too bad.
It's like 20,000 seats. Yeah, it's 20,000.
Really? I thought O2 was bigger than that.
No. It's like 20-something thousand for that. It has a larger capacity, but don't forget, you got the ring is in the middle, so you're losing massive capacity there.
And plus, you got the video screen, which takes off like 1/4 of the flaming seats there.
Yeah, exactly.
But I always thought things like made up. Like if the ring's in the middle, then there's gonna be more seats around the middle. Whilst
they lose a big chunk, because the stadium itself, I think it holds close to like 27,000 people. But with this one, they sold 21,000. They sold out, But
yeah.
but the tickets were not fucking cheap.
Yes, because like the massive video screen that WWE uses like takes out like a good, I'd say not quarter, but another quarter of the Flaming Stadium.
It's been 30 years since SummerSlam at Wembley Stadium, which was considered to be a massive success, and they have not come back here because they feel that they need a British wrestler in their ranks for us to pander to and shit like that, which is not necessarily. That's not the case.
No, they didn't come back because of the time difference, so they didn't want to. They didn't know what times to broadcast it and all this kind of stupid shit.
No, I do understand, but they should have realized that like going abroad is lucrative. You know, like there are hungry fans who want your shit. The fans in America are very much spoiled. You know, you see some. You know, how often do you see wrestling shows and they're so subdued, and you know they're not taking part. You hardly get any emotion from the fans. Whilst if every time the WWE leaves their country and they go to anywhere else in the world, the fans are red hot, fucking hot.
They could literally do a whole year away from America and they'd still fucking sell out.
Well, because what I'll say is that like you look at what they did in Castle and was it Clash in the Castle? They did pretty well, and that was in Wales.
Yeah,
if it came to Scotland or Glasgow, they'd probably do pretty well because like I mean, the problem is that whenever they compare, they directly compete with the ICW, which they can't compete with.
They would look. WWE has this annoying trait of doing London too much, and I'm like, stop doing London. The North is where all the bigger wrestling fans are.
True.
And they have the better crowds, the more raucous crowds. So if I was them, I'd do maybe more Birmingham, Newcastle, kind of Manchester, Glasgow, all that kind of shit.
I think they do London because it's not just about England; it's about Europe. London is accessible for the rest of Europe, which is why I think they do it. It's a lot easier.
Well, I mean, considering they only do Raw and SmackDown, I mean, I'm sure, you get people from Europe.
I do agree personally. I think they should. I mean, they should go all over Europe and do maybe 2 or 3 months away from America and just tour the whole fucking the whole continent.
I don't know. I think a lot of the wrestlers would say not to that because considering what happens to them with Flaming whenever they do Flaming Saudi show.
That's Saudi Arabia, which is in this. You know, we're not talking about countries that are dictatorships. There's a whole bunch of European countries that they wouldn't have to worry about. But you know, at the same time, a lot of wrestlers have said no to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
But also that incident that happened in Saudi Arabia was like the first or second.
It was the second. It was the second time, but it's been sorted since.
It's been sorted since, and now you see how much Saudi Arabia has progressed. You know, with women wrestling and stuff like that, which is quite incredible. To tell you the truth,
still still a brutal dictatorship. But
exactly.
Yeah.
But because also I also mentioned about AEW. It's I think a couple of its shows have been cancelled. I think it was Dark and Dark Elevation have both been cancelled. I think.
So anything that's online has been cancelled because Warner Brothers wants cable exclusivity. Their Ring of Honor will be the exception. It's just because they want all eyes on TV, so they can boost their numbers and put a lot of attention on the Saturday show, which is never a good day to put fucking wrestling on. Never. I don't know why they want to put it on a Saturday. They'll be lucky to get not even 500,000. But it'll be interesting to see because even with CM Punk there, you know, wrestling on the weekends, it just.
We're talking about football and stuff like that.
What?
You're talking about clashing with the football and stuff like that.
Well, possibly, but I don't even know. Like, does America even put sports on at the weekends?
Yes, it does.
Oh, it does. Okay, thank you for that. Because I always see like football. Well, on a Sunday, American football on a Sunday, but most of it's like Monday night, Thursday, kind of. Sorry, having a good scratch there. But I mean, whatever, it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, they're going, and it's quite interesting because the online stuff that was like the Young Bucks' kind of shtick, and even their own show is being cancelled. So that's quite fucking hilarious. And they look like they're going to be on their way out because they're a bunch of divas who can't take the fact that they're going to lose to CM Punk. And so they're playing these silly little games now by posting things about wanting to fight against the Usos and all this kind of shit. And I'm telling you now,
Oh, bloody hell.
they're not going
Someone's
to
got a
last
job
in
for
the
that as well.
WWE. They don't have the maturity to last in the WWE. And if I was Triple H, if I was an arsehole, if I was an arsehole, here's what I would do. And I would do it to these three in particular because I fucking hate them all. All right. I would be sitting there and saying to them behind the scenes, if I was from WWE, I'd be like, look, we're going to offer you this, this, and this. Why don't you come on over? As soon as their contract expires, I'll be like, no, we're not interested. And just let them rot. Because Kenny Omega is the only one of them three that might be able to go somewhere. He'll go back to Japan and flourish. But nobody fucking cares about the Young Bucks. Nobody. They're not a draw.
Kenny Omega is the new Sting, as far as I'm concerned. And he, as long as he doesn't go back to the WWE, he'll always be, will he end up in the WWE? And I like that about him. Have you seen the Saudi plans for the line? Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
Oh, yeah. What a stupid idea.
I think the thing is that I don't know. I said like that. I think that what WWE needs to do is think about what it's going to do, because the thing is that Reigns has been on top now for 2 years. Who the hell's going to beat him? Like, who is big enough? Who's a big enough name?
They shit the bed so bad that they created a new title. Move the comment, Zam.
Yeah, sorry. Hello, by the way, funeral friend. We are going to get into politics.
Hello, funeral friend. Yes, we'll get into politics. Yes.
I just want to quickly show you, like,
Can
you see that?
Yeah, no worries. I can't read it, but I can see
not really
something.
That clear, but can you see, like, on one side there's like a big square box, which is like a rectangle.
Oh, is that your solar power stuff?
And I mean, it's dark now, but I just love looking at this app because it just shows you like I got 56% battery left upstairs in my loft.
Nice.
And that right now is powering my whole house. There's it's like 0.01%, 0.01 kilowatt coming from the grid. Even then, if I didn't have that, I could still get all my power from my battery. And the power from my battery powering my house right now will still last for another 8 hours, which is plenty. I mean, I'll be going to bed in a few hours anyway, which means that I won't have to worry about that. And yeah, it's just great. I mean, I just love my solar power so fucking much. I love it.
There we
love
go.
it. Yeah.
Nerdtube. Green progressives. Well, just the one. The rest of us like driving around in our trucks and cutting down trees.
We have a Tesla M3 with the Powerwall. Rumi's planning to get the solar roof when he has to replace the roof. Yeah, I have a Volkswagen ID4, which is also an electric car, and like the power we get from the solar goes into that too, which is absolutely great. I wish it didn't, to tell you the truth, but I've got an off-peak rate to charge my car for cheap. But regardless, it's I'm fine with it, to tell you the truth. It's not so bad, but yeah, electric cars is the way to go. That's the way to go, funeral friend. My libertarian center right leaning, but like to call themselves center person. Well,
yeah. If this country really cared about green policies, which it doesn't, both Labour and the Tories do not give a fuck. Okay, if it genuinely did, they'd be dishing out grants for people to go and get electric cars and buybacks on their nicer cars and all this kind of stuff, and kind of pushing for greener. But because if you want to like fucking get rid of most of the pollution, you can get people onto electric cars. But They're not doing that.
And make more efficient and cheaper public transport.
Well, they're not putting that on that, Gary. Sorry, they're not putting public transport back into public ownership so that they can make it cheaper or free in big cities, which is how it should be, because we make more than enough money to fund that. The trains are too fucking expensive. And so instead, what we're getting is, and this one is more coming from the fucking liberals who come in and gentrify my area, is we're just getting these ridiculous solutions that just punish the poor. You put LTNs and ULEZ and all this kind of stupid shit, and that just affects, working class people. Doesn't affect the rich, doesn't affect the middle class wankers that don't like cars and just go on trains because they can afford to use a train. And I clash all the time with liberals about this, because I'm saying you're not doing sensible solutions. You're just doing policies that punish the poor, and they can't see that. Libertarian Party is really a better option than the big two. Well, I don't know why. I don't know why you're saying that, because the Libertarian Party is basically the Republican Party right now, and the Conservative Party right now in the UK, which is no enforcement of policies on corporations, minimal workers' rights. You've left it to the free market, and the free market is fucking the workers and fucking every aspect of our life. That's libertarianism. That's what it is. And
sorry,
the only area where libertarians are clashing with the conservatives are war. That's it. That's the only thing I've seen them, because libertarians are against wars and all that.
Someone like myself, who is not a rich guy, why would I want to be involved in a party that won't do anything for me as a citizen? Because the Libertarian Party, their whole policy is about not doing anything for anybody, but just keeping what's yours. But what's mine is very little. I need more, and I need more from other people who've got more. I want it from them. I want to take it from them. Genuinely, I want to take what they have, and I want it, because you know why? Because what they have, they've gotten unfairly. It's not. People might think, rich people have earned the right to have all their money, but no. But they make the rules, which means that they end up giving themselves wages that's unfair, whilst regular people like myself end up earning a lot less. No, that's not right. So there's no reason. There's no way in hell I could ever.
Don't worry, Gary. You'll get your chance. Calm down.
There's no way in hell I could ever vote for the Libertarian Party, because I want more from my government, and I want them to give it to me.
Gary,
go on, Gary. Then I'll read some comments after that.
Right. So this thing from Fear Infirmary says that workers have plenty of rights and don't realize it. Okay, here's the reason they don't. Because if they did, we wouldn't be doing the culture war shit to try and get people to ignore the lack of rights that they don't have. Because people aren't paid a reasonable rate to work. Because I think they've been stagnation of wages across most sectors now for at least 2 years. I think it's about nearly 10 years.
Yeah.
And the fact is that cost of getting a university education has gone up, so that those people aren't workers, and they should be working in sectors that pay them more. Then you've got people who can't afford to feed themselves or heat themselves, or
food banks,
food banks, all that shit. So I'm sorry, that is rubbish. And the fact is that there's people who live in London who have to travel an hour, if not two, to travel from where they live, which is just outside of London, to get into town, to do at least 2 trips to get into London to try and trip. And do you know how I know that? My friend used to live in London, and that's what he had to do. He had to buy a houseboat just outside of London, and that was less costly than buying an actual house in London.
Oh yeah,
inflation hasn't the wages haven't gone up to match the inflation. Everything seems to be getting more expensive. It's not like money has disappeared. Somebody has it all, and they want more, and we have to suffer for it. And we have governments that don't basically work for the people. They work for the ruling class. And once again, if if as somebody who is on the lower end of the economic spectrum, why would I ever would want to vote for libertarian? It makes no sense.
What's the median pay in the UK?
I mean, I might as well just shoot myself in the foot.
The minimum pay, we've got a minimum a minimum wage that you have to be paid. I think it's something like, I think it went up recently. I think it's like $8.92.
I have no idea.
Is that $8.92?
Well, I mean, so you have two bands of minimum wage, because the median pay in the UK is, hang on,
If it's about 20 grand.
No, it's more than that. Median pay. It's so the UK average salary, they say, is so you've got the mean average and median average. So the median is 25,971.
Yeah.
And the mean average is 31,000, and the average UK full-time salary is 38,000, and median average is 31,000. That's complete fucking bollocks. And I'll tell you why.
Nobody's getting paid that.
No one's getting paid that. So even Liam says it's about 26 grand, which that is, I mean, that's true. It's about 26 grand, which is the average. But the problem with that is the average they're going off of is from fucking London wages. They're not looking up north, who are earning 10 grand less than that on average. Actually, that's a lie. It's about, it's a couple of grand less. And in terms of the minimum wage in the UK, oh God, I think it's about £10.90 in London. And
but that's also in the UK, you've got to realise that depending on how much you get paid depends on how much you have to give back, because you get taxed on how much you get paid. So the more you earn, the more you have to pay tax on that.
No, that's the theory. But
no,
once you hit over, I think it's like 100 grand or whatever. Once you hit over, there's a 40% cutoff, and that's it. But that 40% is done in a way where the more you earn, the less you pay. But we down below, we get absolutely screwed. So, our tax, the amount of tax that we pay compared to the rich, is ridiculous in comparison. So the best way to describe it is, for every £1 that we pay, 35p to 40p of that gets taxed. For the rich, that £1 that they pay, it's about 15 pence of it gets taxed, because the more they earn, the less. It's a weird system, but they pay fucking less. And we are the ones that are always burdened with filling in the gaps of austerity. So every tax hike, it always affects us. It never affects the rich. They just don't fucking pay any more tax. They pay, in fact, under the Tory government, they're paying like almost 20% less than what they were paying 10, 13 years ago. And even then they weren't paying enough, because that's neoliberal policies. And so the minimum wage in the UK is about £10.42 if you're 23 and over. And so let's just say £10.50 for the sake of argument. In London, a lot. This cough won't go away. In London, the majority of them is not even that much higher. It's like £12 to £13, and you can't fucking live off of that. You just can't live off of that, Gary.
Yeah.
Sorry, did you want to say something?
No, I just want to read some comments actually, very quickly. It might be the future, but lithium mines are so destructive. The industry really needs an overhaul and hasn't changed much since the gold rush of the 1800s. Yeah, with electric cars being the way they are, unfortunately, that is something that needs to be looked at. Workers have plenty of rights. They don't mate.
So Gary's already covered that. They don't have.
They don't. I think you're doing a disservice to yourself, funeral friend, unless you're a fucking billionaire who happens to like watching us. Daniel Vance, UK at least has the Minister of Mining. US, yeah, but we're slowly becoming like the US. Unfortunately, we're becoming so corporately run and with crony capitalism and corruption at every sense, which is one of the reasons why the UK wanted to leave the EU, because that way they would have nobody holding them back from doing all the shady shit they want to do. God hates Tories. You're damn fucking right. What's the median pay per hour in the UK? Yeah, sorry, apologize. We have tipping here in the US. So yeah, see, look, it's a double-edged sword, because I have no problem with tipping, but waiting staff shouldn't rely on tipping to pay their wages. They're fucking the company who they work for, whoever they work for, whether it be a shitty little cafe or a massive corporation like Starbucks or whatever, they need to be paid a living fucking wage and then some.
Well,
about 26
Starbucks pays a minimum wage. It doesn't do tipping. That's mainly like your small businesses and all of that.
Starbucks was like a bad, but I was just trying to think of some sort of coffee shop or something along those lines.
Just think of your average restaurant.
Cafe. Yeah, I'm okay with high taxes.
This is what I wanted to respond to. Right, the thing is, I'm okay with high taxes too. It's just that where the taxes are spent is where I have problems with. Because
Gary, hang on. Wait. Before you go off on a tangent, we know that the taxes, but this is why sometimes you need to understand the nuances. The nuances are, he's saying, I don't mind paying high taxes as long as the government is providing something in return. We know that we're not getting nothing for our tax money. So we don't need to elaborate on that. I'm sorry to cut you off, but we know that. We're just saying we'll all be happy to pay high taxes if we knew where our money was going. But at the moment, it just goes to the rich. It's as simple as that.
Personally as well, that if you earn
inequality, yeah, damn right.
Personally, if you earn very little money, I don't think you should pay any tax. I think if you're super wealthy, you should constantly be paying taxes, and you should be paying the highest tax rate.
Well, personally, I think after a certain age, like let's say like after 55 or something like that, or when you retire, you should stop paying tax and stop paying like a lot of like council tax and stuff like that. In my personal opinion.
No, I've said that. I've said that as well. Once you retire, you pay no taxes, you pay no council tax, you pay for fucking nothing, no bills, nothing, because you've worked all your life. And my mum's pension gets fucking wiped out on bills, and what I earn isn't in. I do what I can to help, but that's not fucking enough. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, personally, if you're earning like 30 grand or less, you shouldn't pay taxes, in my opinion.
Yeah, sorry, go on. I'm okay with it. We've done that.
Sorry.
God, you are so terrible with the comments.
You should see how it is on this. Is the way Melon has sort of done it? It's not that great. GG is choking on. Oh yeah, yes he is. Laugh out loud, Liam.
Just cut to
and when I used to work weddings, we did an American wedding. I made £75 in wages and 180 in tips.
But at least you got a wage. And the thing is, like but I mean, you look, that's good. But the problem is, a lot of the times, so if your restaurant just doesn't have any business or is quiet, you're earning like $2 minimum wage as a waiter, and you're relying on tips. That system is nearly 100 years old, since the Great Depression, where they put that in, and no fucking policy has been put in place to guarantee people that work in the service industry to get minimum wage. And America's solution to a lot of this, so instead of giving people higher wages, they just change laws to allow kids to start working. So we've gone right back to fucking Victorian era. They found kids as young as 10 working in McDonald's.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that.
And meat packing factories.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that, man. Like, what the hell's going wrong with this?
I can. World? When it comes to America, I believe everything. If this is a fucking country where they talk about trans people and gay people being groomers, and yet here we have fucking conservative
grooming,
fucking, like everyone that gets caught as a pedophile is a fucking conservative. They kept laws in where old fucks can marry young girls in America. You can marry
child marriage
in America. You have child marriages in America. This is the kind of, so nothing surprises me in America. nothing surprises me that it's there.
Well,
What goes
in Utah, they've got this new porn law, and so Pornhub has themselves have said that they won't be showing any porn
Well, they
within the
blocked
state
Utah.
of Utah. But they blocked Utah. So you know what's gone up in sales now? VPNs. VPNs are skyrocketed in the state of Utah because people want something to jerk off to. And this is what's crazy about the Republican Party in America, just generally. But they go on about freedom and shit like that. But they're
The
constantly
party of small government.
Yeah, and they're constantly restricting your freedoms. They're constantly getting involved in shit they have no right to now.
Because it's all about control, though. Because the thing is, because if they can get people, what's the word, upset at a small minority who have very little representation, then they can just make up lies about it. I mean, the thing is, it's like, I mean, look what happened in Tennessee. Like Matt Walsh, who has as much credibility as I had, went to their Senate. It'd be like me going to the House committee and saying how bad society is. Yeah.
You know, look. Ginger and I, we briefly spoke about Steven Crowder maybe a week or two ago, and how his wife ended up divorcing him. And because it's a no fault divorce, she didn't need the permission of the husband or for both of them to say, yeah, we're going to divorce. If she wants a divorce, it's over, and they have to accept it. And Steven Crowder didn't like this because he's a control freak, but I did jokingly say that they probably will, the Republicans will latch onto this. And now Steven Crowder has made it public knowledge, regarding this law. And lo and behold, it looks like the Republicans in certain states which they control are going to try to change the laws to make it impossible for women to leave their marriages if they want a divorce.
Of course, it's ridiculous.
But that's what it's always about. It's they don't want. Freedom. The Republican Party has been taken over by evangelicals, and they loathe freedom for anyone that isn't white and male. It's as simple as that. And they rich. Will go, they will fucking put in place as many laws as they can get away with. No, but the issue with that is it's backfiring on them, and it's backfiring on them big time. Fox News there was a hilarious clip of Fox News who recently did a bunch of polls, and it found out that the majority of conservatives are pro-gun legislation. More. What's the fucking word I'm looking for? Not restrictions, but
background checks.
Yeah, things like that. So better gun safety policies, background checks, all this kind of stuff. So there were, it was 70% of them were in favor of gun control. That was the word I was looking for gun control. Not banning guns, just gun control. Again, about 77% did not give a shit and were in favor of gay people, gay rights, all this kind of stuff. They don't care about these kind of policies. And it shocked them that they were sitting there like Reg Vardy or whatever his fucking name is.
Reg Vardy.
Yeah.
Stuart Vardy.
Stuart Vardy, but I always call him Reg Vardy. And
on the buses.
On the buses, yeah. And they were taken aback because they're sitting there, and one of the guests on the show was just saying this. So maybe the Republican Party has to go back to the drawing board and work on its policies and all this because they know that they're getting their asses kicked. They know they're dying, and that's why they're trying to push as many fascist policies as possible because even their own voters don't give a shit about the culture war bollocks. They don't care. Yeah, and we saw that. Sorry, just quickly, we saw that here in the UK as well when Lee Anderson said that the only thing that the Tories have to go on is anti-immigration rhetoric and culture war stuff. And what happened? We just had our local elections, and the Tories have lost over 1,000 seats. They got absolutely fisted in the local elections.
So that's just what I was just about to bring up. So, Shredder brought up the fact that he thinks that people might use this as a thing against Rishi Sunak. Now, for those who don't know, David Starkey is a British historian who's gay, but also has a history of saying, let's just say, rather racially insensitive things. Let's just
yeah, Milo Yiannopoulos. Yeah, no, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Well, it's a racist cunt, basically. So anyway, so he says stuff against Rishi Sunak. Now the thing is that I think there's a lot of like grassroots Tory voters who don't like the fact that a brown guy is their leader. I'm just going to say that. I'm just going to say,
sure, dude.
And I think that a lot of people are going to try and bring back Boris. I think that's going to happen. He's going to start.
They're more than welcome to bring him back. They're still going to lose the next election. There's nothing they can do about it. Even with Starmer being an absolute piece of shit Tory himself, the Tories are still going to get wiped out because we'd rather go for the slightly less Tory party than have this current band of cunts in there. And but it's not going to be that straightforward. I just want to quickly go to some comments here by Mr. Barnes. So North Carolina.
I began working here in the US at 14. But I'm happy to have had the experience. I've had to have permission. Like kids do stuff like paper rounds and stuff like that, but laboring in a fucking in a restaurant and stuff like that, it's a whole different ballgame. We take up majority of their day when a paper round's only a couple of hours. Really, it's different levels of work. I know people who stockpile assault rifles to sell each time they're threatened to pass restrictions. As the price goes up, people fear that they won't get their weapon of war. I know it's absolutely it's absolutely incredible. North Carolina just legalized gerrymandering by the party in power. Same lawsuits are happening in multiple states. Liam says, I live in Tory strongholds, surrounded by other Tory strongholds. The Tories got annihilated down here. Yeah. That's good stuff.
But the thing is probably right. I don't really know Starmer's policies that he has put in his manifesto. It
doesn't matter what he put in his manifesto. He's taken them all out. He's gone back on every promise that he put in. He lied to get in power because he knows that socialist policies are popular. So he put up his hand to putting everything into public ownership, getting rid of student loans, NHS, banning NHS privatization, public utilities back into public ownership and all that. He put his hand up and he said, yes, I'm going to do all of that. And the fucking idiots voted him in. I voted for Rebecca Long Bailey, who isn't a complete piece of shit and is actually on Corbyn's level in terms of policies. And in fact, she's better than Corbyn because she's got balls. Okay, she was a lot more vocal about kicking out the centrists from the party. And Starmer, literally this week, the last policy that he promised, he got rid of, which was to get rid of student loans. He's gone back on that. So just think of a Tory, that's Keir Starmer. And sometimes he's been to the right of the Tories with certain policies, especially Rachel Reeves on benefits and people like that. She has like a vendetta on Ian Duncan Smith's level against people claiming benefits. And so, but here's the thing. This is how you push for change. You get rid of the Tories. You annihilate the Tories. You wipe them out. Labour becomes a new right-wing party. So then you have Labour versus, and this is exactly how it's playing out. And if you go back to other videos that I've done or Facebook posts that I've put up, and I've said this is what's going to happen, the Tories will eventually get wiped out. They'll be non-existent because people are going to choose between red and blue Tories. Then what's going to happen? You're going to have a coalition of left-wing parties, independents, the Greens, Tusk, Socialist Working Party, Northern Independent Party, all these kind of people, slowly gaining small pockets everywhere. We're seeing this happening now. The Greens have skyrocketed. We've still got the Lib Dems in the way, which is frustrating as hell. But you'll have like Labour, the Lib Dems, and the Greens. Those are going to be your main parties. The Greens within a generation are going to go through the roof. And what the Labour Party are doing now, you'll see, is they're attacking Greens by saying if you harbour ex-Labour candidates or basically anyone who's on the left, you're harbouring anti-Semites. So they're using that playbook because they're scared. And what happened in the local elections as well is every single Labour candidate that was kicked out of Labour Party that was on the left retained their seat as an independent. So Labour's plan backfired on them because they think we'll get rid of them. People just naturally vote Labour and that'll be that. But no, everyone that got kicked out retained their council seats. And as the years go by, that's what you're going to see. You're going to have Labour. Eventually, the Lib Dems will probably die out because then you'll have that. Then you'll have the Greens, and then you have a pocket of independent parties, and we're just going to have a lot of hung parliaments and coalitions forming, like in a proper democracy, like the rest of the mainland Europe has. And it's happening. It's happening right now, but it's going to take at least 20 years to get to where the mainland is.
Was one of the Starmer's policies to get us back into the EU?
No.
Okay, I was wondering. I thought
because his policy is, and I swear to God, it's to make Brexit work. What the fuck that means, I don't know.
Yeah. He went back on his original. Originally, he wanted to rejoin.
Corbyn's a Eurosceptic as well.
Well, yeah, I don't mind about that. But with Corbyn, if Corbyn was in power and we were out of Europe, we would have had better fucking policies. Look, I don't want people. People shouldn't paint the EU as this fucking golden fleece because it's not. The EU is a neoliberal wet dream. It only benefits countries like the UK for being in there. It doesn't benefit Greece, Spain, Portugal, Italy. It doesn't benefit these smaller countries. They have been fucked by the European banks, royally fucked. The corruption within the EU is revolting. So I'm not a fan of the EU, but Britain shouldn't have left.
Yeah.
Britain shouldn't have left.
Okay, I'll explain why I'm a fan of the EU. Because the thing is that I think that, for example, trade agreements and stuff like that needs oversight. And while I do agree with you, the EU's actual processing at the moment is shit. I do think that there is oversight that's needed, and I think that the EU does do a good job of doing that fluid between member states. It's just that fluid between member states comes with a lot of the stuff that you were talking about, the shitty policies of ruining the banks that the countries that are part of it.
Well, I mean, let's put it this way. So air travel, for example.
Yeah.
So the EU said that BAA cannot control all the airports because there needs to be competition. So what happened? The BAA had to sell off. Had to sell off. I think it was Heathrow, Gatwick, Luton, Stansted, Gatwick, etc. Whatever one of these. And what's happened since then? The fucking EU, in their infinite wisdom, we have to pay to park or to drop somebody off. You have to pay for because one company isn't in control, and this is the only time you'll ever hear me championing one company controlling, because there were no extra costs that need to be split and profiteering that needed to be made by each person controlling each airport, because one company had it. You just had a simple situation going on. Everything was working nicely. You didn't have to fucking get ripped off just trying to drop somebody off at the airport. But since the EU made them break that up, now, I fucking hate airports. I hate dealing with airports. I hate dealing with flying. Okay, and there are no regulations in terms of ticketing in there. So the EU hasn't helped in that regard. So you got to book a fucking ticket, and you've got all these extra costs. The EU, that's where the EU should be stepping in, not telling BAA, sell off all your airports, and now the companies running these airports have to find ways to make profit, so they fleece us with it. And so this is the kind of shit. Or if you're a farmer in a poor country and your potatoes and your cucumbers and all that don't meet an ideal standard, you've got a bunch of worthless stock. And the potatoes that you could sell at the supermarket, you can now only sell to fucking crisp companies for a third or a quarter of the price you would sell them out individually. So this is the kind of stupid shit. They're trying to say it's about being fair to the consumer, but it really isn't. It's not. Because when you collectively fuck over everyone, you're not really helping the consumer. You're not protecting them in the right areas. You're not protecting the farmers. You're not protecting the the people that work on the farms.
No,
Yeah,
but the thing is that the way the EU works in certain countries is that it helps with, for example, get it from the resource, the original sourcer to the wholesaler to market a lot simpler and a lot more quietly. And I'm not, by the way, I'm not saying this because I'm some sort of big champion of the EU, but I do agree with a lot of points you're making. Now, my point is that it's the best system we have at the moment. I do think that there is improvements that can be made.
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
I think it means inside though. I think.
Yeah. So these policies were all put into place to kind of, so this kind of frictionless trade and all this kind of stupid shit.
Yeah.
Between companies. These are just policies made between countries that are obsessed with having borders.
Yeah.
And who you can trade with and all this. And it's about control. It's always about control. You know, you as a little person.
We love copying the Americans, don't we, when it comes to all these fucking things?
No, this is British. This is a British. No. This is a British system. This is as old as, this is from colonial times.
No, but I just thought the rhetoric we use, like we're using "Make Britain Great Again," and you know, like we're using American rhetoric a lot when it comes to stuff that obviously that has been going on since the fucking beginning of time. It's always, I mean, shit like this has always been going on when it comes to anti-fucking immigrant shit. God knows how long that's been going on for. Before I was fucking born, I'm sure. You know what I mean? But the rhetoric always feels like American rhetoric. You know what I mean?
But the thing, since we've left the EU, the anti-immigrant rhetoric has stepped up with even people in part of the government doing it. I mean,
they expected people like me to. They expected people like me to be gone once we left the EU. They thought, "What the fuck are these darkies still here for?" You know I mean,
that's
so
what they thought.
Yeah,
they're so stupid. They thought literally, like every immigrant will get kicked out of the country, and it's just like, yeah, mate, you try herding over how many million people out the fucking country. First of all, no, because capitalism loves immigrants because they profit off of it because they can charge peanuts. They love illegal immigrants more than they love people that have come here legally. They thrive off of it. But they need a distraction, and they need to show that they're strong on racism and they're strong on anti-immigration laws. So they just make these fucking stupid rules up. You have Suella Braverman going on TV making up lies, like 50,000 people trying to cross the channel every day. And they're all fucking like criminals and all this kind of shit. The same rhetoric that Trump used about Mexicans. All right. So because they need to rile up their base, and what their base is too stupid to understand. It's like, these are the people in power that you voted in are the ones letting the immigrants in because they profit off of it. They profit off of low wages. You know, they know that they flood the market full of immigrants. And so we were affected by it when Poland entered the EU and the Polish came over. I was a builder at the time, and me and my dad lost a fuckload of business because they were getting in Polish guys, paying them a third of the money. And I'm not shitting on the Polish people. This is the EU law, freedom of movement, which is a wonderful thing. But there has to be certain, limitations on certain industries. But the building industry thrived off of it because they got loads of cheap labor to flood the market. Eventually, though, because they were shit at the job and what we did was a specialist job, they came back to us. Our business picked up. But this is what I mean. So the building industry benefited massively. So if you were a laborer and you were earning 60 quid a day, now you're out of a job because they were giving it to the Polish guy for £30 a day. So it's not, the capitalists and the landlords and the landowners benefited massively from this kind of policy. And I don't begrudge anyone that leaves their country for a better life. I'll never, ever attack the worker that leaves their country for a better life because they're just doing what we all did. My parents did the same thing. They couldn't stay in Greece or Cyprus because there was no work. So they came here. And it's just how it is. And me and my dad... Yeah, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, I mean, Civil Braverman herself wouldn't be allowed in because her parents are famous immigrants, for God's sake.
She went on plane to Uganda.
Yeah. It's like Did they be like on the flight to Rwanda or something like that? It's like
Rwanda. Sorry, her family. I think did her family come from Uganda?
Yeah, no, Ghana or something like that, wasn't it? Ghana or
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Sam's falling asleep again.
I'm really trying my best, Tim. I'm sorry.
Sorry, we'll try to be more entertaining for you, though.
Yeah,
it's just a bit hot in my room. For fuck's sake.
Open the window.
Yeah, open the window.
My birds are flying around.
Seed for farming here in the US is so GMO. Farmers are forced to buy seed. Yeah, the whole Monsanto thing, which is really shitty. But again, that's corporate monopolies. That's how they do it.
But I mean, like you look, for example, like there's certain trades that are under the cosh because they don't have the access to free, reasonable, low wage or low skilled staff that comes from overseas.
Well, I mean, first of all, they can't get British people don't want to do the fucking jobs, and the people that they used to get to do the jobs can't come into the country anymore. And so there's a labour shortage, skill shortage.
Farmers and God knows what else,
Doctors, farmers, nurses, all this kind of shit. But the doctors and nurses thing is deliberate policy by the Tories because they don't care if you die, as long as they could destroy the NHS to move everyone onto private healthcare, and it's working. It's working because people have no choice. So the number of people going private has gone up by 45%.
Do you reckon Labour's going to change that?
No, they said they're going to work with private healthcare companies. Labour's Keir Starmer and Wes Streeting have taken money from private healthcare firms from the US, and so they have no intention of scrapping any policies.
America's covering their bases. They're making sure they got both sides, so either way they win.
Exactly. They've got their fingers in every pie. It's a fucking global cancer. I've said 1 million times. If China and the US go to war, I am clapping for China because America's the bad guy here. Always has been, always will be. And so are we, by the way, in the UK. Like, Putin's sitting there threatening to nuke us. I'm like, well, what's taking you so fucking long? Get out of the way.
Been attacked, mate. Yeah.
This is a teacher really no mass hit. Well, the thing is that a lot of people, a lot of the nurses here, a lot of the junior doctors, and are leaving the industry because they're getting paid like shit.
Yeah, Australia's stealing all our doctors because they're offering them 130,000 Australian dollars, but that still won't get them a house in Australia because property prices in Australia are fucking just as bad as over here in the UK. I and ahed about moving to Australia back in 2015 because everyone's like, oh, if you work in the care industry there, you'll earn $40,000, and I'm like, that's less than what I earn here because it's 20 grand, and I was earning a little bit more than that at the time. So I was like, plus houses in Melbourne because I would have ended up in Melbourne. I'm like, no, it wouldn't have benefited me financially and being too far from everyone. So I thought, no, fuck that. Because I had to look at house prices, and I was just like, what are you talking about, mate? 250 grand UK for a bungalow that's half the size of the UK bungalows in Melbourne. I was like, fuck off. Ridiculous.
The nurses and teachers are what we're losing en masse here in the UK because the Republican Party have made them public enemy number one. The very people that are supposed to be taking care of you are somehow are vilified by the right wing, and it's absolutely disgusting. They're going after doctors, they're going after nurses, they're going after teachers.
They think Jesus will heal everything.
Well, it's not just that. It's just that like they keep on like accusing teachers of like pushing a woke agenda and grooming them
and grooming and stuff. But it's kind of like grooming, man. They're grooming their kids when it comes to religious indoctrination from the very beginning. They're not giving their kids a chance to learn who they are and stuff like that. And they go on about child mutilation when it comes to fucking gender affirming care, but they totally ignore fucking circumcision. They're full of shit. They're full of shit, these people. I mean, they always have been, always will be, man. For a lot of people like Matt Walsh and stuff like that, they're just grifters. That's all they are. They found something, they latch onto it. It keeps them relevant, brings the money in. That's all they. And if it means shitting on a demographic of people who are very small and who won't cause you any harm, well then so be it. Fuck them. That's how far as they're concerned.
Well, I mean,
He's the most Matt Walsh is so disingenuous. I hate that man. I genuinely hate that man passionately. Fucking despise him.
I mean, religiously, I'm probably closer to him than you two are.
No. You're a fucking saint. Even on British Christianity is normal. We might have a pocket of fundamentalists here, but British Christianity, I always compare it to Greek Orthodoxy in that they stay the fuck out of your life. And if you want to go to church, go to church. America is a disgrace to Christianity. Okay, America they took Christianity and they capitalized it. They made it into fucking capitalism,
a business,
and fundamentalism. All the Puritans that left England went to America, and fucking 500 years later, they're still there. They're still around. They never got fucking rid of the Puritans. And so, yeah, no.
No, I hate Matt Walsh as well, don't worry about it. Because to me, my biggest gripe with him is the fact that he's going against people who don't have any representation in the sphere. And when they do, people lose their fucking minds about it. Like, Dylan Mulvaney, people lose their minds about it. I'm trying to think who else. Elliot Page, people lose their minds about him. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, but it's for them lot. It's either a grift. Well, with Matt Walsh, I wouldn't say it's a grift because he's a literal fascist. So he's a white supremacist and loves fascism.
But it's still a grift in the sense of like his position, his status, but he realizes that throwing red meat at the base is what's relevant.
The thing, see, I would disagree with Matt Walsh. Dim Paul and things like that, I would say yes. But Matt Walsh,
who's Tim Paul, by the way? Sorry,
Tim Paul.
Tim Paul, yeah. So he is like DeSantis, exactly like DeSantis, just a complete fucking fascist and a white supremacist. And Tucker Carlson, along those, just white supremacist, pro-fascist, and will do anything to kind of get those policies pushed. That's why he goes to different states and tries to get all this shit on there. Gary.
I was just to say, well, I mean, over here it's probably worse because, like, we have the Tory party who's thinking about bringing in flaming changes to the European Human Rights Commission to get trans people removed from it because of like people like Kelly J. Keane, people like Helen Flaming, Joyce, and people like that.
So again, before the cancer of American culture spewed into this country, the UK was progressing nicely when it comes to trans people. Policies were in place that protect them, all of that. Of course, what they didn't expect was a bunch of deranged fucking liberal women to latch on to this fucking anti-trans rhetoric. And I'm sorry, but I find when it comes to certain fear-mongering stuff, women are fucking more gullible than men in certain things. And with the anti-vax movement, although there's a lot of men, there are far more women on it. And with the anti-trans movement, there's a huge contingent of white liberal women that are massively anti-trans. And that was like, holy shit, that was Christmas for the right wing. Because they're like, oh my God, we've got the centrists on our sides. And
the thing is that we get
and the Nazis.
And so the UK, one second, and so the UK has now regressed massively on trans issues. And they're loving it.
Yeah, and these women call them misogynists for pointing out that you're an idiot. It's like I argue with these people a lot because I know that people may think I'm like the centrist. No, I'm ultra left, right? And I don't like a minority being used as a scapegoat for other people's problems. If you're really about women's rights, you wouldn't be talking about trans people. You'd be talking about the fact that there's still laws in place that make it in this country that make it hard for women to leave their abusive marriages or their abusive relationships. How about let's get rid of those laws, Phil, before fussing about like trans people in toilets?
So not just that, but also the way the law treats female victims of domestic abuse, of rape, and the way they go after pedophiles in this country is too fucking soft. It's way in fact, okay, forget the paedophile thing. So on women alone, the British justice system is disgustingly misogynistic.
Agreed.
More case, I've never seen. Every time I see something on the news regarding rape, sexual assault, harassment, and domestic violence, the cases always get dismissed in court, and they always say, "Oh, lack of evidence. Oh, this and that." And it's just such a high rate in this country, more than anywhere else that I know that's supposedly progressive on these kind of issues. But women aren't focusing on that. What are they focusing on? They're focusing on that somebody who wants to change their gender to how they feel comfortable. It's like invading the space and erasing women. Hang on, none of us are sitting there. Nobody fucking talks about trans men. Nobody fucking talks about trans men.
Yeah.
Okay? It's always trans women. But nobody talks like, so you're not sitting there, you're not seeing men coming along going, oh my God, these trans men are replacing men. It's such a ridiculous fear mongering that they've latched onto.
And that bathroom law fell on its face because they're supposed to use the same bathroom as they regarding the gender that was assigned to them at birth. So a trans man has to theoretically use a women's bathroom, and so they're doing what the law is telling them to do, and then they're getting threatened for it. They're getting kicked out. Obviously, it's a stupid thing to do, and the real thing is just to keep your mouth shut and just use the men's, and no one will give a shit. But
it's stupid because it's good off how somebody looks. Because I hate to tell you out there, and I don't think these people know what they're doing. Right? There are women out there who don't conform to what women are supposed to look like, and these are genetically born female people who do not conform to what women are supposed to be like. Like some women are really tall. Like for example, I know some who are like taller than I am, like 6'4", 6'2", because of just their family genetics and that they're from a really tall family. Or there's ones who have very masculine chins or very masculine builds, because they're like bodybuilders and stuff like that. It's like so, and actually that happened in Carolina where somebody, a natural born woman, because she looked too mannish, was kicked out. And she's like, "Well, I thought you were supposed to respect women. I'm an actual woman, actually born as a woman. Are you kicking me out of the toilet I'm supposed to be able to use?"
Yeah. Well. Yes. Go on.
Comments here. From a citizen of the United States to the citizens of the world, I apologize for my country's rhetoric. It's our main export at the moment. We have some promotion here from this person. Hi, I want to offer promotion for your channel. Views, followers, views, chatbots. The price is lower than any competitor. The quality is guaranteed to be the best. Auto on, incredible, flexible, convenient order management panel. Everything is in your hands. Turn it on, off, customize. Go to doghype.com. Yeah, I'm going there right now, mate.
Oh, yeah, running all the way.
Right now.
Running.
Betting pool. Yeah, I'm sorry. I do apologize.
Don't worry, we're not going to be going for too long. We're not going to be going for too long.
Let's talk about, in my opinion, what's going to be one of the biggest events of the year, the King's coronation.
That's why I came in with the username King Kong, because I'm going to be coronated tomorrow. That's right. I am your king.
Within the last 12 months, we've had the Queen's Jubilee, the Queen's funeral, and now the King's coronation. It's incredible what's happened. And I look back at Queen Elizabeth II and how she was 18 years old, become pretty much the Queen for everybody's lifetimes. And now King Charles, at the end of his life, is becoming King of England, how both of their lives are different in that particular aspect. But now he finally had the opportunity to be King of England. And we're going to spend £57 million of our tax money to coronate this fucking...
Fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah,
that's what I love to see our money wasted on. Gary's
this nonce lover.
Well, the thing is that what's really dug me, and even he said, even Chelsea said, this is a bad idea, was that people are being told to show allegiance to him. I'm like, come on, that's people's choice. Now, there's certain people out there who want the UK to be a republic, which is their right.
Yeah, me.
Yeah, it's yeah, exactly. It's your freedom of speech. It's other people's freedom of speech to say, hey, I like a royal family. as I said in the chat before, I'm neutral on the idea because I don't want to give this government any more flaming unfettered power than they have already.
Dude, the royal family are Tories, man. They're not independent. They are right wingers like the Tory government that's in power right now.
I disagree.
They're best.
You could disagree all you like, mate. But they pay no taxes, take our fucking money, contribute nothing to society. They're fucking Tories.
They are the rich. They are the elite, mate. These are the people the Tories, work for.
Yeah, well, Charles himself is a massive environmentalist, which a lot of Tories aren't.
Mate, you can be an environmentalist and still be right wing, and just because we're not like the Americans in that particular sense. We are, there's a lot of right wingers who are pro NHS.
Yes, there are.
There's loads of them. I mean, a lot of right wingers in this country, they sound like liberals in America when it comes to the fucking NHS, and they hate it about themselves because they sound so fucking left leaning. But nevertheless, regardless, I mean, you can be aware of certain aspects, because of his charity work. I'm sure he's aware that environmental issues do play a part. I'm sure there's a lot of right wingers who are aware of these things as well. But at the end of the day, it's about consolidating wealth. He wants to keep it all for himself, keep all the power, keep this life of Riley going, where our taxpayer money is going to keep him fucking having a fucking golden toilet, golden crown,
and
all
it's
of this
undemocratic
shit
as well.
Yeah.
Like, you don't vote for your fucking king. Some wankers a couple of thousand years ago just suddenly thought, yes, they have a divine right to rule over a group of people. What a fucking stupid concept. I would happily see this country become a republic, and I hope it does. Prince William will hopefully be the last ever fucking king that we have, and it's just it's embarrassing.
It's a dated concept.
Embarrassing, dated concept, and this country has the worst national anthem in the world. The absolute drizzling shits of a national anthem. It is elitist. It fucks on the poor. Okay, it puts the queen or the king as divine rulers over everyone, and only God should look after them and nobody else. It fucking stinks. I hate it. I hate it with a passion, and I will happily fucking see it change to either Land of Hope or Glory. Well, Land of Hope and Glory. I'd rather that, even though it's Land of the Hopeless more than anything. But it's better than the fucking shit we have.
Anthem aside, look, our tax money, my goodness, it would go on to things that are way more important for society than keeping a bunch of pompous fucking blue blood inbreds, living a lush life that we could only fucking dream of. If they were gone, our tax money could be there for improving our hospitals and more public services. That's what it should be there for, not keeping these fucking cunts happy.
Yeah,
right. Exactly. I will say something. Right, there's been people, and this happened during the like Queen's funeral and stuff like that. There will be people who've had their rights removed, like for example, having their placards removed saying "Not my king" and stuff like that. I'm like thinking, well, look, people have the right to say "Not my king" as people have the right to say "God save the king."
No, but you go on about.
What are you doing, Gary? You're just fucking stating obvious shit.
No. What I'm pointing out is that people had their rights removed. I'm not saying them.
Gary. No, but you go on about how you don't trust the government, but you trust the royal family. But it's the royal family getting all these fucking placards removed in the first place.
It's a government.
Yeah, but they're doing it for the royal family, who obviously don't want this shit being spread around in the first. You think the royal family wants this? No, of course not, dude. They're in cahoots. They're in fucking cahoots, man.
Yeah, and I again, like, I know this sounds bad, but for the greater good, I don't give a fuck if you like the royal family. I really don't. The greater good trumps your cuckery, and the greater good is not having a bunch of unelected spongers fucking helping sign off on certain things and just sitting there thinking they have a divine right to rule over us and look at us with utter content. It's the same as I don't fucking think people from Eton should be bloody allowed to fucking run our governments.
Yeah,
because
I think to get to Eton, yeah.
Yeah, it never fucking they come out of Eton thinking they have a divine right to rule over us as well. And I'm like, no, fuck all that. That's why Corbyn wanted to shut private schools, because he's like, fuck you. They don't play fair. They don't pay taxes. Fucking private schools don't pay taxes, but public schools do. And it's just such a shitty, unfair system. And this country has a class system that is only rivaled by India. And it's just fucking, it all needs to burn to the ground and rebuilt to something a bit more logical, a bit more French. Because this is just fucking stupid.
Right.
What,
GP,
comment?
No, it is a funny. I mean, I want to stick with the royal family, but this is a funny comment. The God peer in the US would be yelling for George Soros for control of the country. The fact that this guy Soros is still somebody who is in government office, and yet somehow the Republicans are rallying around him more because he's a liar is quite remarkable. Have you made and tried the royal quiche yet? Mate, if it ain't fucking quiche Lorraine, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, exactly. If it ain't quiche Lorraine, I don't fucking want to know.
But again, like you see, you got three British people, and all with different ideas about the royal family. As I said, I'm more neutral with it. These two are very against it, which is good. And considering that I'm a bloody socialist,
but you said yourself that you find the government corrupt, but you somehow have faith in the royal family. Like they're not corrupt themselves. Look what they're doing with Prince Andrew.
No. I never said they weren't corrupt.
No, but you somehow think that having them in some sort of capacity is beneficial for our freedoms and our governments. Like we can always rely on these guys for some reason to keep the government in check when
they don't. They don't.
When
they
have
no fucking
what I'm saying is that I'm not saying it has to be a royal family per se. I'm saying it. I say like we have oversight committees, because the oversight we have the government at the moment is shit. And I'm saying that we have
because every government just puts in their own people in there. They create these oversight committees, and then what they do is they just put their own fucking people in. They're like, oh, what government corruption? I mean, now remember when we had the expenses scandal years ago under the Labour government? Well, the Tory government has been a billion fucking times worse, and then some. And there's no outreach. They'll just occasionally pull up, oh, this MP spent this much on their house. And everyone will be like, all right. And they fucking move on. There's no oversight committee. There's nobody going in there going, oi, stop that. Because the person that's supposed to say, oi, stop that, is just another fucking Tory.
You got Jacob Rees-Mogg, making up policies and arguments regarding how we should get rid of sick pay and holiday pay and stuff like that. I mean, it's incredible that people would vote for him. The common folk would vote for him.
He's on course to lose his seat in the next general election. I'm fucking so happy cheer that. So happy.
Me too as well.
And Boris is also on course to lose his seat at Uxbridge, which has always been a stronghold for the Tories. So that's nice. I from Labour, I really, really, really want to see West Streeting. I'll be happy if West Streeting loses to a Tory, just because he is a Tory. So he might as well just lose to another Tory.
What happens if Keir Starmer loses his seat?
That'll be fantastic. He'll still be Prime Minister, but I'll fucking cheer that on. There is a possibility that he could lose his seat. You know, he's not very well liked. And like I said earlier, all the left-leaning candidates, councillors that they kicked out retained their seats. Corbyn's going to retain in Islington as well if he runs as an independent.
That's it's for a general election. It's every 5 years, unless like the government at the time holds a snap election, which usually about 6 or 7 months if they hold a snap election. But what we're talking about,
have had.
But then we have a local election, which is every 2 years. So so every 5 years.
Yeah, you're right.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I'm just seeing if I was getting knocked on the door. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, So so again, when the Tories came in, the first thing they did was put it, because you can choose, every government can choose, do you want to do 4 years or every 5 years? So the Tory government straight away did 5 years, and that should not be allowed. It should be every 4 years.
Even though they've had two snap elections.
Yeah, they had two. Well, they had two snap elections because they tried to get rid of Corbyn, and they failed in the first one, and the only reason they succeeded in the second one was because of mass sabotage within the Labour Party. So what happened in the first one? They all thought, this fucking socialist. So they had a snap election, thinking they'll wipe Labour out, because everyone in the press was like, Labour are on course to get wiped out, and we ended up with a hung parliament.
And they had to do a coalition with the DUP.
Yeah, with the fucking DUP.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. When the magic money tree was found by fucking Theresa May, but look, personally, after with Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak, the two unelected prime ministers in office in recent months, we need to have a general election. We need to have a snap general election immediately, because this is not democracy. It's a fucking joke, and
you can't keep changing fucking 4 or 5 leaders and not have an election. I'm sorry. What after you might change one leader, but once you change again, there should always be snap elections.
Here's a question for you, for both of you. Do you think that we need to kind of like a written constitution for this sort of thing? Because I think we don't.
Well, you can't be a billionaire for a start. If you're a billionaire or your wife's a billionaire, and you're
you're the prime minister, that's just fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, But we got Rishi Sunak telling everyone needs to fucking cut their spendings and tighten their purse strings. Is he going to be doing that?
Well, no, he's handing out fucking. It's just giving his wife's companies money. So when they brought in, everyone thought, oh, this childcare policy is really good. Of course it is, because it benefited his fucking wife's company. So just the level of corruption, it's like I said, you need to burn it all down to the ground and rebuild it, and rebuild everything from scratch.
I've always said, and I said this again, I think I said this last week, Rishi Sunak, he's a smiler. Never trust a smiler. They are the fucking most dangerous people. People like him, Joel Osteen, fucking Betsy DeVos, all these fucking smilers.
Tony
they will
Blair.
They will fuck you up, yeah. Exactly. Never trust anybody who smiles all the fucking time. They are evil personified.
Okay, yeah. But I mean, because the thing is with Labour is that they split the left vote. Because, like, for example, because I remember when Ed Miliband got elected, and people thought he was socialist. I was like, he isn't really, if you look at his policies.
Nah, he's a fucking centrist.
Yeah, he's a fucking
Miliband's a centrist. He might have had a few policies that he wanted to bring in that were left wing, but again, it just accounts for how stupid the people are in this country. Because one picture of him eating a sandwich, and everyone was like, "Oh, this guy can't fucking lead." I would have happily have taken Ed Miliband in 2015 than any of the fucking Tory shitbags.
The David Cameron.
Because Ed Miliband was the reason we got Corbyn, because he changed the voting system within the Labour Party back to how it used to be. And so members were able to vote Corbyn in once Miliband got kicked out. And the Labour right lost their fucking shit. And in fact, Corbyn would have won in 2017, again, if it wasn't for sabotage within the party, and if we had ranked choice voting rather than first past the post bullshit.
Well, first past the post is shit as a voting system anyway.
It's not democratic. It's not democratic at all. It's fucking ridiculous.
And it's not representative either.
No, it's not representative. No, it's not. Absolutely. And so, but that's the policies we have in that. It's to stop left wing. Every policy we have in place is to stop left wing governments from forming. In Greece, when Syriza won, the Deutsche Bank fucking kicked in. This is one of my hatred of the fucking banks. Deutsche Bank kicked in and said, behave yourself. Don't ask us to get rid of austerity, because we'll triple the austerity. We'll make it even worse for you. So Tsipras came out looking like he failed, and the press in Greece latched on that, and he lost the next election. And then we have the New Democrats in, and now we've got an election coming up in Greece very soon, and we're going towards a hung parliament. So, go on, Sam.
No, go on. Finish what you're saying.
And so in Spain as well, when the left-wing government came in, they tried to cripple Spain with more austerity. They do it to every country. So the way the EU system is set up and the American system is set up with the World Banks and all of that, once you get in a government that they don't agree with, they'll just slap illegal sanctions on you, force you into austerity. The banks will come in and fuck you hard. So it makes like a left-wing government always fails when that's not the case. And Brazil, for example. So this is why Brazil have just sent us are adamant on signing up to doing trading with their own currency with China and not using the petrodollar, the American dollar, because it first of all, and Marco Rubio said this himself. He goes, if Brazil switches over to BRICS or becomes part of BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, I forgot what the I was. Was it Iran? I think it was Iran, China, and South Africa. Okay, if they switch over to BRICS, then we can't impose sanctions on them. You're not supposed to just impose sanctions willy-nilly. There's supposed to be a reason. But America has over 110 sanctions on countries, all of them illegal, except for maybe Russia. But all the rest of them illegal. And breaking away and not having the dollar means they can't do that. They can't stop you.
Well, the thing is, the Bank of England probably wouldn't put sanctions on whoever the left-wing government is, because the last time they did sanctions against somebody, it was actually a right-wing person. That was Boris Johnson, I think. They did some sanctions against him. I can't remember what exactly it was now.
Oh, I can't remember. But that's posing sanctions on your own people. We're talking about posing sanctions on a foreign country that you think you have a divine right to control, which you don't.
I'm battling my eyelids proper here, fellas. But as we told you on, we do local every 2, national every 4 years. You guys have got it better in that sense.
Yeah,
if it always feels like that after every local and general election, the next one's just around the corner from either one. I have to take the dogs out. Sorry, 1 second, boss man. I have to take the dogs out. Someone mark the time. Shazam fall asleep.
We're going to be finishing up now anyway.
What I would personally do if I had any sort of like poll would be, if you do really badly in the local elections, and you're the ruling party, that automatically triggers a general election. Like, you get to a certain threshold. I don't know, like, let's say you lose X amount of seats, so that's decided at a time. And it doesn't matter how high water, it doesn't matter how many years, it automatically triggers a general election.
Yeah, I'm all for that. I'm all for that.
Just the fact that they've lost 1,000 seats, the Tories have.
Yeah, those are council seats. So imagine how many MPs are going to lose in the next general election. They're going to get fucking wiped out.
Mm-hmm.
I hope. Again, with this country, it's so bloody unpredictable. You never know.
And you think the people in power would be aware of this and think, okay, maybe we need to bite the bullet and start creating some policies that will benefit society, but they won't. What they're going to do is that they're going to take before they leave number 10, they're going to take every bit of furniture, every bit of memorabilia possible.
And don't forget, in this country, what did we just bring in this policy? We brought in voter ID laws.
Yeah.
So you needed ID to kind of to go and vote. And a lot of people signed up to make sure that they had all the right things, but loads of people got turned away. It didn't stop them. They still got annihilated. But I guarantee you, Labour won't repeal that law. They've been very quiet on it, and now it's illegal to protest in this country. You have to jump through hoops just to fucking protest in this country, and Labour won't repeal that law. We ain't got long. The next general election is in January. It's not May.
January of what? January of next
2024.
Year.
Coming up.
That's fucking miles away.
It feels like miles away, but it's not. It's only 7 months away.
Yeah.
That'll come quick.
Right, I'm going to ask you guys a question because I live up here. Do you reckon that the SNP will, if they win seats up here, start doing things to move away from the rest of the UK?
You know what? I have no idea, because at the moment the establishment is working overtime. Since Sturgeon left, they're working overtime to destroy the SNP. Labour and Tories are working together to depose the SNP to make them lose seats. So I haven't a fucking clue. I'm sure they're going to retain strongly there, but will they be pushing for indie referendum? I fucking hope so. But William's the best person to talk to with that. I haven't a clue, to be honest. But I hope they push for it. And on that note, I think I'm going to end the stream there because we started late and I've had a long day. I was working till 6 today. I normally finish at 4:30, but we have presentations coming up, and I don't like to leave things hanging. So I'm knackered as well. So on that,
Yeah, we've
thank
got
you. Sorry, go on.
a lot of streams. Sorry, a lot of streams to been doing this last couple of days as well as this week. Tomorrow being a very, very big debate roundtable with hopefully a lot of Trekkies on board, and we look forward for you guys joining us for that. And hopefully Sunday we'll try and get you a Citadel review as well. And by the way, quickly talking about Citadel, I know we talked about television and stuff earlier on, but that was something I did forget to talk about. With you, Ginger. Are you looking forward to the next episode? Have you seen it already?
Is it out?
Well, it should be out by now.
Oh, I don't even know. I'll
Actually,
have a look.
since-
I'll
since-
watch
since-
it. Yeah, like switch your brain off and like it.
Something
Yeah.
I need to watch is Visions.
No.
Yeah, I've seen 2 episodes of that. I'm glad you reminded me that. I almost forgot. Seen 2 episodes of that, and I've also watched the show Beef on Netflix. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It's a really good dark comedy.
Oh,
I,
okay. I'll have to download it because I'm not on Netflix anymore.
I recommend it. It's pretty cool. So yeah,
Visions.
Go
With Visions, I just went and grabbed. I went straight into the Aardman episode only. I don't really care about the rest. I'll watch them eventually. But the Aardman one was okay. It was a little bit too fucking corny for my liking. But it was really funny though. There are some bits that are just pure Aardman animation, and like I don't know. Have you guys seen that episode?
No.
No. Yeah, I've only episode
Okay,
1
so
and
I'm not
2.
going to spoil it, but there are some bits that just made me laugh out loud. And if they cut down on the cheese, I would love a feature length Aardman Star Wars film. I really fucking would. But yeah, not as good as I wanted it, but it was still enjoyable. But and the rest, I'll watch whenever. You know, just before we sign off, this is like the situation that the MCU and Star Wars are in now. It just doesn't make me want to watch. Like, I don't give a shit about Guardians. I'll watch it eventually. And with Star Wars, like Visions, I don't really care. I don't care about Acolyte that's coming out. The only thing I'm looking forward to the MCU that's coming out soon is Secret Invasion. And that's because it looks a lot less jokey and a lot more dark. So, yeah, that's it. But anyway, all right, guys, we'll sign off here. And join us all again next Friday. And, of course, whatever videos we have tomorrow, Sunday, and pretty much every day. And that is all. Let normality resume. Bye.